Welcome back, everyone. I am Bob Mastriani, and today we're diving into the world of real estate. Why do 70% of real estate investors struggle with buying their second property? We're going to deep dive into this in a little bit, but before we do, make sure you hit that subscribe button for more information about how to invest in your first real estate property and also to grow your business. I recently saw this stat that 70% of real estate investors only own one property. And it had me thinking, when I first started out in real estate investing, it never occurred to me that I would only buy one property and never move on and never grow my business to more than one real estate investment property. So I've searched on the internet to try and find if this stat is even real. And there's some conflicting stories, of course, there's some conflicting stats. But one thing that is consistent is that a large majority of real estate investors only own one or two properties. And I also have found that a very small amount of real estate investors, to the tune of 10 to 15%, own five properties or more. And so I want to deep dive into why I think that is and some ways that can help you to grow your business and to expand beyond just those first one or two real estate investment properties. So first things first, investing in real estate is hard. It's not an easy thing. You have to deal with the money and the financing, right? You have to finance your first property. You have to actually find your first deal. So finding that first property, making it happen, coming up with the financing, maybe you're saving for the down payment for your first property, or maybe you're pulling that money out of somewhere else. But in many cases, I think we find that when people go into their first deal, oftentimes they're using all of the capital that's available to them to get into that first opportunity. And so finding that first deal and getting into that first deal takes a lot of effort and energy. And I think that oftentimes it's hard to then even think about going into that next deal. We talk about things like stabilizing that property. So once you have that property, oftentimes you're either, if it's a rental unit, you're going to potentially either inherit someone else's tenants, or maybe you have new tenants, and you need to sort of stabilize that property. And you're putting a lot of effort in the very beginning of buying that first property. You're putting effort into stabilizing it. Maybe you're trying to stabilize the rents. Maybe you're trying to add some value, and maybe you have to do some work or things in that property. So again, it's a little bit difficult. And then, the other thing is, and this is with anything, right? The first property that you invest in may not be a great one. It may actually suck. Right? Maybe it's your first deal. It's your first opportunity. It's your first time investing in anything. Maybe it's your first time dealing with tenants and toilets. Maybe it's your first time dealing with a renovation process. But anything that you do in life, the first time you do it is probably not going to be the best time that you've done it. So there's a lot of lessons to learn there. And I think oftentimes people get stuck in this idea of, they do something, they have an idea about it, maybe they've taken a course, or maybe someone has encouraged them to invest in real estate. And then when they get into it, it's not all that easy. And that's really just the truth of investing in real estate. And that's the truth of many things. But when that first opportunity isn't all that great, when that first opportunity sort of sucks a little bit, if you will, what are the lessons, and what lessons can we learn and take those to the next properties? Our first opportunity that we invested in was absolutely not the best one. We still continue to have it today. It still continues to be a positive, and I've learned a ton of experiences from it. However, it wasn't the greatest opportunity that I invested in. It wasn't the best financially. But if it wasn't for that first deal, if it wasn't for making that first step, I would have never been able to move into the next one. So I think the first reason that oftentimes people get stuck after that first opportunity is because it's hard. Reason number two that I think many investors stop at one or two real estate investment opportunities and don't figure out how to roll those into so many more is that they don't understand the actual finances and how the finances of real estate investment work, or they're not necessarily utilizing some of the great features and feature sets of finances related to real estate investing. So I've heard it referred to as the money wheel. I've heard it referred to as a conveyor belt. I've heard it referred to as refi or roll. But the reality is that first opportunity, you really have the ability, as you gain equity, to either do a cash out refinance or utilize that leverage that's in that first deal once you've grown it, and take that money and put it into your next opportunity and continue to roll that into next opportunity after next opportunity after next. Wait a second. I think I have a better option here. Let's go over to the whiteboard and show you how that really, really looks. All right, so here we go. Here's a little bit of a great explanation of how this is going to work. First things first, you're going to buy your first property. So how are you buying your first property? So maybe you have some savings. And let's just say for your savings leading up to your first property, let's just say that you're able to put away $1,000 a month. Doesn't matter what the number is, but you're putting away a certain amount of money every month to get to that goal of buying your first property. So let's just say it's $1,000 to make that number pretty consistent. You're going to put that $1,000 every single month right into your little, call this bank, and that $1,000 is going in there every single month. You finally get to the point where you buy your first investment property. Congratulations, you're a real estate investor. You own your first investment property. Isn't this great? Now, what are you going to do with this investment property? First couple things are going to happen. One is that you're going to have to stabilize the property. Okay. And that may mean that you're going to have to increase the rents. That may mean that you're going to have to do some tenant turnover. But at some point early on in the process, the goal is that this property is going to cash flow. Money comes in every month. You're cash flowing on this property and it looks good. And let's just say for a moment that this property is bringing in $500 a month. You have a couple options with that $500 a month. You can take it, you can spend it, you can have it become a part of your lifestyle, or you can pretend that it doesn't exist and start adding that $500 every month right into that same bank account. Okay? You were able to save $1,000 a month leading up to your purchase. You're still probably able to save that $1,000 a month. And now you have another $500 a month going in. See where I'm heading with this? You are building your reserves and you are building up for your next property. Okay? All while this is happening, this is really nice. But all while this is happening, you're going to gain increased equity. Equity increase. And what does that mean? That means that the value of the property is going up. The value of the property is going up for two reasons. One, because you're paying down the mortgage regularly. You're taking those rental incomes and you are paying down that mortgage. So the difference between what the property is worth and what is owed on the property continues to grow your equity. And you're doing that with someone else's money, right? You're doing that by collecting those rents. The second is that you're going to continue to add value, and also real estate markets do increase. Okay. That is not a plan, but that does happen. Okay. Real estate markets increase. So as the market continues to go up, your equity is going to continue to increase. When you have that equity increase, there's a couple things that you can do with it. One is what we love to refer to as a cash out refi. Cash out refinance. The bank allows you to refinance that property and cash out on any of the equity that's in there. This could be large sums of money. This could be $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, maybe even bigger, depending on what kind of equity you've built in that property. And you have a choice. In the same way that you had a choice to spend that $500 cash flow every single month, or to try and put that away to save for your next opportunity, you have a choice with that cash out refinance money. And what we choose to do is when we take that cash out refinance money, we like to invest that in the next property. That becomes the down payment of property number 2, cash out refinance. You hear people speaking about real estate all the time that say you can cash out refinance and it's a non-taxable event and you can do anything you want with that money. And take it from me, because I've made this mistake. When you cash out refinance and do whatever you want with that money, if it's not investing it into something else, that money becomes spent and it stops your progress. Okay. But if you can continue to do a cash out refinance, when you cash out refinance, the bank is not going to give you 100% of the equity. So you're still going to have equity in the property. Okay. But you have the ability to take those funds and move that to your next property, property number 2. And this is where people talk about refi and roll, refinance and roll it into the next one, refi and roll, or the conveyor belt theory, or the money wheel, whatever you want to call it. But this is how we use our properties to gain more properties. Hope this was helpful. Let's go back for tip number 3. All right, we're back. I hope that was helpful. And so number 3, here goes number 3. Number 3 is the lack of patience. I've said this on many videos, and I've said this many times over and over again. Real estate is not a get quick model. Real estate is a slow and steady paced, calculated road to wealth. And I think oftentimes people get a little bit frustrated and they get a little bit of lack of patience. I've heard people invest in their first opportunity and then say, it has more money in it than I could have ever imagined making. I need to take that money out and do something with it. Or they do those options that I just spoke about in lesson number 2, and then boom, cut off the money. They take that money and do something else with it. That lack of patience, it's not going to happen in 1 year. It may not happen in 3, 5, 7, 9, 10 years. But as you continue to grow and as you continue to build that model, you will have more and more opportunities available to you. So I think number 3 really is important, and that is the lack of patience. So here are some quick tips to help you along the way. First things first, you have to buy opportunity number 1. You have to get that first opportunity. This first opportunity will absolutely change everything. It will change the trajectory of your real estate investing career. It will change the trajectory of your growth to wealth. However, know that that first opportunity is just a launching pad. You have to build it from there. Okay, build it from there. Utilize method number 2 that we talked about, where you continue to roll that money, continue to build those savings, grab that equity, and purchase more properties. And finally, you have to be patient. This really, really is a long game. If you've gained a lot of value out of this, please click the subscribe button and go out there and make it a great day.